Welcome everyone today to our online teaching and learning series. I really appreciate your time and attention as we look at Perusall. It's a social electronic reading platform. And with us presenting today is Cindy Hawks. Before coming to EKU, she served as program manager at the Division of Extended Learning and Outreach for Western Kentucky University. And she oversaw program development and student services for online learners. And more recently, she was a course quality coordinator at Columbia College in Columbia, Missouri, and program manager of adult and professional development programs at Colorado State University. She serves as an instructional designer with our team, and we're really fortunate to have her. She brings sort of a warmth, but also a practical application of instructional design and course quality to the team and to the folks she works with. So Cindy, thank you so much for joining us today, and take it away.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you all for coming. So as Chris said, we'll be talking about Perusall today. It's an e-reading platform that helps students master content faster. So what exactly does that mean? Let me see. What we'll be going over today is the essential features and functionality of Perusall, how to host various contents in the Perusall system, and how we can create assignments in Perusall and connect those back to Blackboard. So Blackboard is not, it's not fully integrated into Blackboard, but it plays very nicely with Blackboard. So Perusall was developed by a Harvard professor and a team of faculty who were interested in avoiding the quizzes that we kind of dread, both as students and faculty. And they wanted to be able to measure engagement and challenge students to kind of care about the content a little bit more than what they do when they're just trying to read through something and take a quiz at the end to mark off a box. So it's FERPA compliant, it's secure, it's free to use, and it's also free of advertising. So all good things. It uses social learning strategies to help students master content. And this is, I think, one of the best things about it. Students can go in and highlight, which I'll show you that in a few minutes in the demonstration, but you can go in and highlight different things in Perusall, make a comment, ask a question, provide thoughts. It's very good about encouraging critical thought. And you can also like other people's posts. You can use emojis. You can, it's threaded very much like traditional discussion boards. So that part of it will look familiar both to students and faculty. And once you get in there, it's actually really intuitive to use on both the instructor and student side. It has the goal of turning solitary assignments into group interactions. As I mentioned a minute ago, it helps foster critical thought, and students learn from one another. Students have reported, given it very good feedback as far as, increasing learning and engagement in the courses. And there's also several peer-reviewed research articles that have been published that provide, that supports that it actually does increase learning and engagement in courses. So from the instructor side, it integrates with Blackboard using an LTI link. Instructors create assignments first on the Perusall side of things, and then or at least that's how I do it. I'm sure you could flip that, but I go to Perusall first, create assignments, copy the title for the assignment, and then go over to the Blackboard side and create the assignment link in there so that it links directly to Perusall. They have a really interesting algorithm set up in Perusall that, from what I hear, from the faculty who use it, it's very reliable. It scores students on several different factors of engagement from 1 to 3, 3 being the best. It looks at things like not just number of words, but whether or not that comment was thought-provoking. Did it get responses from several students in the class? Did it say something more than great idea or I agree with that. So it's very similar to what we would look for in a, in an engaging discussion board. You can easily add your own content. You can upload articles, which that does take a little bit. So if you are uploading articles of your own, then you would need to allow time for Perusall to process those. It can all be done, same day, but it will not be instant. They have a huge library of books to choose from. A lot of faculty are able to find the book for their class already in the Perusall library. If not, you can request access to that. And as I said, it scores automatically, but you can also turn that feature off or you can override it. So if you don't trust it quite yet and you want to see what, you want to become more familiar with the scoring algorithm, you can turn that off the first time through. Let's see. They have recently expanded what you can do with content to podcasts and videos. So students can comment and ask questions right along with the podcast or the video. It works the same way as an article or an ebook. And let me, so here's some resources, but before we get into those, I really wanted to spend some time just going through, I set up a Blackboard shell. And Matt Winslow was professor in psychology. Most of you probably know Matt. He very graciously granted me permission to use some of his stuff from his course. So I moved some of it over to my sandbox so I wouldn't mess up anything in his class. So over here we have an introductory module, some key things to remember about, if you're planning to use Perusall in your course. You have to include this link. It's the LTI link, and Dr. Winslow has provided some specifics on, why students would need to click this. We also have to provide the same link, and get it set up in the course. So if you look at this, if we go into edit, I think you all be able to see this. You'll see the LTI link here. And then you just click, this is a link to a tool provider. In his class, he has evaluation disabled because his assignments are ungraded. But if you wanted to enable evaluation, this is where you would do it. And it actually would connect back to Blackboard Grade Center, and then all the standard information. When you're creating an assignment in Blackboard, you do the same. You take the same steps. You would just need to ensure that the name here matches the name in Perusall. Let's see. If we look at some of his modules, I think he has from the NOBA text, which I believe that's open education resource. You can click that. Do you all see Perusall opening? Okay. So here we have, what it looks like in Perusall. And like I said, it's very intuitive. You can, these are old highlights done by classmates that aren't in this particular course for FERPA reasons. But you can highlight it and come over here and ask a question, or just say you don't understand. And then other students can reply to that. And of course, that would not be I would not receive a good score for that. So, but you hopefully write something more thoughtful than that, and other students can respond and ask questions. So it's very interactive. And if you want to, let's see, upload content, if you want to upload your own content, you would go to let's go over to sorry, let me scroll down here. to my Perusall link. And it should take me to my sandbox. Yeah. So if you wanted to upload content here, you would go to click on library and add content. It is that simple. You know, if it's a podcast, then you know, it like this TED radio hour, that appeared basically immediately. This stuff was all preloaded because of the time constraints that we have for this session. But from there, if you wanted to assign something from the TED radio hour, you would just click on that and click assign. And you all can see that pop up. Okay. And you can click any of the drop downs from here, but we're going to stick with TED radio hour. Assign all content. You just go to next step. Assignment name. I'm going to use the course settings and save changes. And here this is really important, this copy full title for LMS. Remember I said that the titles had to match in order for it to work. So you'll copy the full title here. Then you take that over to your LMS and let's see, let me move this, sorry. So you'll go under build content and do a web link. So they're not done like regular assignments, but for the web link, you'll do the LTI link. Let's see. Oops. Paste in that, and then you do the LTI link. Get your description here. And that gives you, let's see, the assignment right here. And when you click on that, it will take you directly to, oh, that did not work as I had planned. It should take you directly to the assignment, the TED radio hour assignment, and then students can.
You just didn't paste the specific link that referenced the TED radio hour.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
You just have to copy that URL, and that is not technically an LTI, but what it is it's a specific link that references that specific assignment, and then you're authenticated through Blackboard. So once a student clicks the link in the course, it knows exactly where to take them. So don't worry about that little blip, folks. When you grab that link, it should work perfectly.
Yes, Chris is absolutely right. Let me see.
I know because I've done it.
Okay, let's try it again. And okay, so that's what happens when you follow the instructions that Chris just chimed in with. You do have to copy the link for the assignment into Blackboard. So and from there, students can comment on that just like they would, in any other discussion forum. A couple of other things. Let's see, if you go to my courses, you'll see several courses here that I have in Perusall, as well as the sandbox. Once you get it set up, say you wanted to use it in Spring A, and then you're teaching the exact same course in Spring B, you can copy all the content over from Spring A to Spring B. It's very easy to do. All you would have to do is go up here, create a copy of an existing course, and copy the materials from that. Look at my notes really quick. Let's see. Okay, I know that was actually way quicker than I thought it would be. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of Perusall. So the research on Perusall is really interesting. They have oh no, I wanted to show you all this. They have a full page on the Perusall website, but I did want to show you a couple of my favorite features of Perusall. And I almost forgot. So if you go to they have a demo site that will let you see some really specific functionality. So, and it takes you through this tour, but I'm just going to end the tour for now. They have what is called a confusion report that you can look at. And I didn't want to pull it up in the class that I had because there are no students in there. So this is an example of a confusion report, though. You can, takes it just a second to generate, but you can see what students are asking the most questions about. It kind of takes you through on the left. You can see, what's most highlighted. Here we've got 99 comments on this particular thing, and you can go right to that and see what portion of it is causing the most confusion. And it gives you a good synopsis of student comments and questions. The other thing is this overall assignment progress. Now, one thing that Dr. Winslow shared with me is since his are ungraded, this doesn't work very well for his, but if you have a graded assignments in Perusall, you can look at the overall assignment progress and it will show, the maximum score, minimum score met, no work submitted, the average reading time. So it really gives a lot of details if you want to dig in and see what a specific student's doing or how they're doing. Let's see. Here's the different annotations for that specific assignment, like the times that they were mostly submitted. So you can do all kinds of things with it. It has a grade book. You can go in and edit grades in here, and it will, they should be reflected in Blackboard once they're edited here. You'll have notifications. This shows the library, which we also looked at in Matt's course, but the library will include everything from your textbook that you selected, if there is one, to articles, podcast, videos that you've uploaded. And I'll give you all the link to this, as well as several other things at the end of, by the end of the day, so you can get in and play with it. And if you have any questions now, or if questions come up later when you're trying to integrate it in your course, please feel free to email me. If I don't know the answer, I will figure it out.
Cindy, I have a question really quickly, and it's more of a theoretical type of, or as faculty think about using new tools and the overhead that kind of comes with them. Why would you have somebody use this tool over various other ways for delivering readings and other content? What are the overarching features, and why do you like it? And who would you not suggest utilize such a tool?
Well, I'll start with last first. I think that, any class that requires readings and discussions could benefit from Perusall. There are several things that that I like about it. It houses all of your content engagement in one spot. So, you can literally just copy all of it over to the next course. It ends up saving time because of the algorithm for automatic grading. So, and again, the feedback I've gotten from faculty who do use it, they have no complaints with the algorithm, on the graded assignments. They feel like it's, it actually demands a little bit more of students than what they may demand in a discussion board environment. It fosters a lot of engagement outside the classroom, not just with the material, but student on student engagement, and also instructor and student engagement, which, is part of what we strive to do with COI. It's, like I said, FERPA compliant. It's free to use. There are many more reasons to use it. It's also really intuitive on both sides. So unlike a lot of software that, you have to invest a lot of time in to get to the point that you can use it proficiently, this isn't like that. I would say the main thing is just the level of engagement that it provides is the main thing that I like about it.
Thank you for that. I sort of see, as I was looking through it, and of course, you've got a lot more experience with it than I do, it kind of fills three buckets. And the main bucket is like, it serves as a content repository that operates outside of Blackboard, or at least it seems like that. And that was very interesting to me. I had a faculty member long ago with Blackboard, like in 2000, 2001, who said, after we moved to our second LMS, he said, I'll never use a learning management system again. I want to contain all my stuff myself. Of course, you're relying on the Perusall company to do so, but all your content is managed sort of externally. And we kind of do that with Google Docs anyway. I thought that was really interesting. And if, the service sticks around, people really like the service, that might be a plus. And then that second thing is that artificial intelligence ability to track student progress as they go through readings. Like, it knows at least how long a student spent on any one block of text and can give reports about that. And those are pretty accurate. Has that been your experience?
Yes, and that is one of their goals. They have a threefold goal with this software, and one is to change education and change the level of engagement with material. And I forget the third, but it uses AI very effectively. They also offer excellent customer support, and they have a blog that is continually updated. And the blog has like sections on what's new in Perusall, constantly updated, how to get started, how to do, X, Y, or Z with Perusall assignments. So this really just scrapes the surface. The blog is also, it's very helpful.
And the other thing is it also tracks the interactions. I mean, it tracks the student. So we've got the student content sort of community of inquiry bucket filled here. And then we can measure and track how students interact with one another relative to the content. And then of course the instructor can go in and provide scaffolding, or can make comments, or can just look at these various reports and make grade assignments based on whatever criteria they choose. Is that right?
Absolutely. And the confusion report, one thing I like about that is it gives instructors the information they need to either give further instruction on a topic, like you said, provide scaffolding. They can use that to include additional materials to, supplemental resources on a particular area that students are struggling with. One of the demo courses that they have listed as a physics course, and I would think that it would be especially, the ability to provide that supplemental information would be especially important in courses like that students, that maybe have high failure rates.
Sure. Now, a question somebody had, I believe Corey, who had to leave, he wanted to know about using Perusall outside of an LMS, they can do that, right? So a faculty member could just use that and direct their students to sign up for accounts on their own and then give access to a particular course outside of Blackboard. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. So, yeah, you can house it and use it completely independent of an LMS.
Now, I don't know about other, about this situation, but when we've had tools like that in the past, my sort of street recommendation is don't do that externally. Like let the integration work so that you don't have to worry about giving access to students or them using a non-EKU email address to create an account, forget passwords and all of those things. Do you have any experience with that?
Well, we definitely want to stay within Blackboard, and encourage people to integrate with Blackboard for a lot of different reasons, including FERPA and things like you said, continued access to the documents. But, if someone wanted to house their research in there and ask people to chime in, but if it's not connected with the LMS, then it doesn't provide the same kind of benefits as it would otherwise, as far as grade book and just various other things.
Gotcha. Thank you. Sorry I was so long-winded, but had several questions.
No, that's okay. That's a good question.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions too, and I may have just missed it because I had something going on at the very beginning. So I logged in, but was a little divided. So if you've already said this, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So the main reading for one of my classes is actually the US tax code via a link. I mean, they access it via link, and you said that is possible to use, right? So
yes.
Okay. So I could put the link and then I could have questions and they could answer those individually or as groups of students, correct?
Yes. Yeah, you can so I thank you for asking that. I did not cover this. When you initially set your course up in Perusall, it will ask you if you want your students grouped.
Okay.
And so you can set up groups within Perusall, or you can opt to just have one large group. And as far as the questions, you could go in as the faculty and just note questions that you want students to answer about each section. And then students could respond to that just as if they were responding to other annotations.
Okay. Okay. And would that be visible to all students, their answers or can their answers be closed to all other participants?
To the best of my knowledge, it is open to all students.
Okay.
In Perusall.
Okay. And then last thing is, and I know you said this, but I know I missed it. Where should I start? Perusall site or Blackboard?
I like starting on, you need to start on the Blackboard side just to set your course up. So you'll do a Perusall link, and I am going to provide you all with a quick start guide by the end of the day. I'm still tweaking a few things in it, but Chris is going to send it out before the end of the day. But you'll set that LTI link up and click it, and it'll take you to the Perusall site where you'll be asking initial questions like group settings and things like that. And then you'll upload your content or provide links and everything like that on the Perusall side and connect it back to Blackboard. So there's a little bit of back and forth, but it's, again, it's pretty intuitive. Once you have everything loaded in Perusall, you'll go back to Blackboard and set up the links appropriately, so students will connect to it in Perusall. And I'm happy to help with any of that. If you get stuck anywhere, just call or email me.
One last question, I think. The way in which they comment is via typing in text, right? There's no video or audio response.
Yes, it is just typing in text.
Okay. Okay, great. Super helpful. It's super cool tool.
Oh, it is. I love it. I'm learning more about it all the time.
The thing that was interesting and kind of fun for me, just playing a little bit over a few days, I can bring any document it will accept. So, I mean, the the fair use and copyright laws, I mean, that's your problem. And how they monetize this, I think, is they really encourage textbooks. You could bring in a chapter, you could bring in an art, several articles, but they really prefer you purchase textbooks through Perusall, and that's how I think they monetize this. And that's and I'm not sure how that works. Didn't you have a question, Cindy, about how that works with undergraduate students and getting EKU free textbooks into this, or was that something else?
That is an excellent question, and I don't know the answer, Chris, but that is something that I'll include in that. I'll try to include it in the quick start guide. If not, then we can reach out to people later.
So that's a challenge for folks teaching undergraduate students. But I don't imagine we had some question come up about that had to do with that.
Yeah, and I have that somewhere. I said I don't know the answer, but now that I think about it, the textbook is still requested through the through the EKU bookstore, and then they provide a code to the student. But there's a little more to that, so I'll send that information to you. I've got it, all written out somewhere. But
my point is that it'll take anything, and hopefully, if you have a good accessible document, that's a topic for another day. But if you have a good PDF that's indexed, that has headings, has alt tags in the images, then it's going to import this thing in, and it's going to work really well. And I think it works even well on devices too. So there's a Perusall app for devices, I think. But if not, in a web browser, it's going to be really functional. And students, I think, are reading on screens a lot more than they ever have. And it's just a nice social way to sort of interact with what heretofore was just text, just a book.
Well, and if I remember the stats right, it increases engagement from 20 to 30% up to about 80%.
Yeah. And I don't think that's every case. Like, if you are making a 200-page reading assignment for a graduate course, I mean, who's going to have time to, you need to get through the material sometimes. That would be like an anti-use case maybe, or you need to synthesize a great deal of information in a relatively short amount of time. Nobody's going to have time for the social reading thing. Better to just have, discussion boards or, a synchronous discussion or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And then in some ways too, I think to that point, Chris, good point, is that it might make it more efficient in the reading.
Maybe.
I mean, if the comments can direct to, like if you have a 300-page article or something, which it'd be long, I don't know that there are that many, but 300 pages of reading, for example, for a week, and those comments can lead to the key parts of that. It might help students, or might help guide them through the critical reading aspect. To
That
really
is true.
pick out what's there. Whereas, because I'm thinking about these tax codes, students, I give them a reading guide because they're pretty dense. I mean, it's the tax code. It's not easy reading. And so they have a tax guide in which, is basically a critical reading guide where it leads them to important parts and what they should really be thinking about. But if they were able to do it in a group, then that'd take their amount of time down and make it more efficient learning, but yet collaborative.
That's a good point. And I guess it's all about style, like your style as an instructor and kind of how you want them to interact with each other relative to the reason. But I can imagine like a really dense piece. I don't know, maybe give them the book or the long form, and then maybe a section is going to be problematic. Maybe pull that as a separate entity and say, look, we found, or maybe you offer them the whole thing, figure out where the most comments are, just do some commenting as you read. Tell me what you really identify with. What did you have trouble with? And then run through that one term. And then maybe if you find a piece that they're having trouble with, pull that out and make that the basis of an assignment.
That's a great idea. I like it.
Well, and it's really easy to do too, if you want to assign like pages 2 to 4, of a particular article or, the tax code, and break it up. It's very easy to do with Perusall. And it'll bring up only that chunk of information. Are there any other questions?
Any questions, comments, past experiences with social reading or utilizing readings in your online instruction or your hybrid instruction? Anything else for the good of the order, as they say? Laura, thanks so much for the questions today. And the rest of you, thank you so much for your interest. I love putting these on, and Cindy, thank you so much for contributing your time and ideas to this tool. And we're going to all discover a little more about it. I'm going to implement it in the courses that I'm going to be teaching in the next term and in the summer, just because I want students to see. I have instructional design students, so it's good to model some of these things in low stakes ways. And so I plan on using Perusall in my own courses.
Yeah, I'm encouraging more and more people to use it. And I feel especially comfortable doing that now that I'm seeing it, in a few courses and seeing what the potential is. I think it really increases engagement and learning as well. So
I just like the use model. I can throw my own article. God forbid anybody wants to read anything I've written, but I could throw articles that I have that are open source, or at least as part of our library. I can do all that in 5 minutes. I can do a batch upload of things that are in a folder that I've already curated, and then have students, let them have access to them. And it's that simple. It takes, 5 minutes. So I'm looking forward to that part of it too. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate your time and attention, and look forward to seeing you again at the next OTL session. Thank you all so much.
thank you all for coming, and please let me know if you have any questions, if you think of something later.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let me hit stop recording here.